Welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. When you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with chronic disease? We all do. It's been programmed right into us. But what if we flip the whole idea on its head? Let's discover how we can create chronic health in our bodies, our minds, our finances, and in our relationships. And of course, in our lives, right? Let's jump right on in. I'm Andy, and joining me in everything is my life partner, Mira.
So let's talk about childhood and kids. I know we don't have kids. I know that. We have cats.
We have cats, yes.
And I think I had a pretty normal childhood. But I do believe that you had a slightly different childhood than mine.
Definitely. I don't want to say I had a traumatic childhood, but I learned that I had an extra 6 siblings on my 16th birthday. So, for some people that may be traumatic, right? I didn't know about that. It's like on my 16th birthday actually a few days before my birthday, I was sitting down for dinner. My dad had this big dinner announcement and I'm looking around and wow, I see like carbon copies, literally clones that look like my older brother, but they're ladies, right? And then my dad said, "Hey, say hi to your sisters." And it was like, huh? I'm 15 and all of a sudden I got like three more sisters here. Like what's the deal with that? And yeah, it was not necessarily traumatic. It was a good thing because they ended up buying me more gifts for my 16th birthday.
I was going to say, you get more.
But it was still a shock nevertheless.
So your half sisters that you just met, they look like your father, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it looked like my father, looked like my oldest brother.
And do they behave like your father too?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was interesting. I always talk about I'm a village boy at heart. And no joke, like my family did come from a village that's still actually in Hong Kong to this day. And it was funny. We're talking, and we're actually back there for my grandfather's funeral. We're planning for my grandfather's funeral, and it was getting out of hand. And then my dad just gets up, slams his hand on the table, and just tells everyone to shut the hell up, right? and then like my older sister stands up because she's the oldest one in Hong Kong, and she does the same thing before everyone shut up. And it was like, wow, that was really weird, right? And it was like, wow, okay, yeah, definitely, she's my sister.
So there's a lot of research that suggests that parents can positively or negatively affect a child's development and behaviors, and I think that's an example of that, right? And especially when the kids are younger, they absorb everything that the parents do. They just observe you. They don't listen to you, but they just watch you, right? So whatever you do, the kid's going to do.
Exactly. And it's interesting because, like I said, I didn't find out until I was 16, and then later on, when this all happened in Hong Kong, and when we got back home to Vancouver, I was asking my mom, well, "What's that all about?" "Oh, well, we didn't think you can handle it," right? And I was like, "And you thought I can handle it on my 16th birthday?" It was just surreal, but it's interesting because, like, even though you said that the fans can affect you, we have already left my sisters and stuff for like 16 years. And, I didn't even know about them until 16 years later. But yet they still continue developing the way they were initially exposed when they're children. Like, it didn't change the fact that my dad left. They still had that whole angry gene in them regardless. And it's interesting because like I always tell people, like, don't get my village anger out. You're going to see my Hulk anger, coming up from the village. And it's not a pretty sight.
So we're supposed to talk about developing healthy childhood habits. So that is like an unhealthy childhood habit. But let's bring it back to talk about developing childhood habits. And the reason why we want to talk about it is we heard a lot of parents, they say, "Oh, you don't understand. They have to spoil the children with cookies and treats and money and PS4, 5, 6, whatever it is, and all that stuff."
Mm-hmm.
And that's just to buy the kids love, but that's not really how you want to raise your children.
Yes. And I think a lot have changed in the last 20, 30 years because, of course, we didn't have iPhones, we didn't have iPads, PlayStations. Yeah, probably the PlayStation 1 back in the day, right? But uh, I think parents think that they're so busy now, they're using something else to babysit them.
They're compromising.
Yeah, they're definitely compromising. Definitely compromising.
Yeah. So when you give your kids, especially when they're younger, a treat to, I don't know, reward them for taking out the trash or whatever it is, or just doing finishing a homework, which they should do anyway, you're kind of teaching them the wrong thing. You're kind of teaching them just because they do something for themselves, they're going to get rewarded by the parent.
Correct. Yeah, I don't know, but I think the only reward that we got, to be honest, I don't remember what really rewards we got because there was never anything that big, right? I think when we got the reward, maybe we got to request what we like to eat if we did well in school. It was something, and to us, it was a big deal back then, right? So, but I think this comes down to exercise too. If you look at children nowadays, like their energy, their body shapes and everything, they're definitely more sedentary, right? They're usually sitting down more and they're hunched over more, so their posture is really bad because they're here in this position all day long. And I don't think they're doing as much exercise. And even in school, they don't promote that as much as like when we used to be when growing up.
Yeah, for sure not. And I know that all parents want their kids to be healthy, and that starts when they are young. So you giving them cookies and whatnot, all those sugary treats, that's not helping them. I know that I've heard a lot of parents say, "Oh, they can handle it. They have the metabolism. They can burn it off." That's not true. Like, you get them used to eating these things when they're kids, they will just keep eating it when they're older. You keep eating your cookies now, even though you know it's bad for you.
Exactly. That's a bad ingrained habit. But even organizing events to do with the family together. I shared briefly a few, probably few episodes back, that one of the things that my parents did, is we did fishing. I think we literally went fishing like every day of the week. And at first, when I was young, it was sort of cool. But as I got older, I was, man, I don't think I had anything else better to do. But it was still something that the family did together. That was like our family time, which was actually nice.
And then they eat the fish.
And then we eat the fish.
Which is a nice natural food. It's better than opening a box of whatever it is that people open up.
Exactly. Like, it was like fresh caught from the ocean, literally wild caught, and then cleaned, and then we eat it. We steamed it, right? And one of the things that is good coming from our poor family back then is we did eat everything literally, not necessarily farm to table, but at least literally from Chinatown shopping, grocery stores to table. Because my mom was a phenomenal cook and everything was cooked fresh every day.
Yeah, so your family actually got that part right.
Yes.
So part of developing healthy habits with your kids is not only to give them healthy food, but include them in your meal planning, in your shopping, and preparing the foods. That gets them engaged, and they learn when they're younger why they have to eat that way.
Correct. And another thing that I think that's important is don't force feed your children. Right. It's really interesting. I think that if you can find something that your kids like, they're going to eat a lot of it. And if they're not eating it, it's because they probably don't like it. Right. Do you remember your nephew, like your sister always said, oh, he eats very little. He doesn't eat a lot. Right. And he's a growing kid. He's like 12, 13 during the time. We take him to like a rib place. He eats his whole full rack of rib and then eats half of mine too. And it's like, no, he can eat. It's just that you're not feeding him the stuff that he wants to eat. Right. So, if you are going to choose the stuff that they like, make sure that
that is healthy.
It's healthy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And make sure they eat the vegetables because, a lot of kids, they don't eat their broccoli. I don't know why.
Exactly. Just introduce it early, right? In fun ways for them to try it.
Yeah. So what else? Plan regular family activities. Do something as a family.
Yes. And I think this is important because these activities, will ingrain positive behavior. And that's one of the things that I noticed with our fishing activities, we did that. That was sort of cool. But when I met Minna, one of the really cool things was your Sunday dinners, right? Like that was so surreal. It's like we sit down every Sunday in the full family around the table, no TV, which is odd for us because my family always ate in front of the television. And we're just talking about, hey, so what happened during the week? And it's like, I was never very honest until I actually got married, because like, what are you supposed to say? You can get in trouble, right?
Well, so there you go. You get the idea. It doesn't matter if you're well off or you're not well off. You can always help your kids develop healthy eating habits. And when we come back, we can have our guest of the week.
Yes.
See
you then.
We all hope to age gracefully so we can enjoy our later years full of energy, vitality, and good health. But so often, with age, our bodies start to show signs that things just aren't as they used to be. Our energy, skin, healing and recovery time, sleep, it all just seems to go downhill. Unless you're using LifeWave X39, the world's first product ever to activate stem cells, a true breakthrough in regenerative science that helps restore our bodies to a healthier, more youthful state. The secret? By harnessing the power of LifeWave's patented phototherapy, X39 uses light to elevate a peptide proven to signal the activation of stem cells. Think about it. These are the cells that generate and regenerate all the cells and structures of the human body. They're the building blocks for our organs, tissues, blood, and immune system. They also serve as an internal repair system everywhere. But as we age, stem cells become less effective. Their ability to repair damaged tissue is reduced. In fact, by age 60, they've slowed dramatically. But all that changes when just one LifeWave X39 patch is placed anywhere on the body each day. It's time you experience the power of X39.
Hello, everyone. I've been talking to parents a lot about their frustrations now that school is back in, and parents are feeling really frustrated and upset and not quite knowing what to do or which way's up, or just feeling so much pressure. So today I'd like to talk about why that pressure is artificial and how you can alleviate it both for your kids and yourselves. So the number one thing is, do not force your kids. Take a breath and step back and let's eliminate this need in our lives to force things. Let's create a situation where we're more in the flow. And what happens with kids when the parent relaxes or the teacher in the classroom relaxes, the kids relax too, because they're intuitive and they pick stuff up. And if you relax and you're like, you know what, it's okay if you do your homework 5 minutes and then take a break, and then 5 more minutes and then take a break. You don't have to sit and do it all at once. Or, if they're really, really struggling, you can say what you could offer to help them. And you can also do it in little breaks. You don't have to do it all at once. If there's a really big problem, that's a whole nother issue. So that it's lighter, and it's lighter for you as the parent, where you get the time you can do the things you need to do, but you at the same time you're creating an environment of peacefulness, and the kids will relax and they will respond. Then you get out of that mode and into more of a flow. That is really an essential thing in creating wellness for ourselves, and also raising children in an atmosphere of wellness. Yeah. Hello, and welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. I am so privileged and honored to welcome back our guest today, Ilene Gottlieb. I'm sorry, I said that wrong.
No worries.
The heart healer. Just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful person. She helps an international clientele of heart-centered individuals and entrepreneurs who struggle with trauma, fear, self-sabotage, negative thoughts, or behaviors, and self-worth issues, to experience inner peace, self-confidence, empowerment, and clarity about their soul's purpose. Welcome back, Ilene.
Oh, thank you, Christy. It's my joy to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
So let me make sure I get the word right. The practice is ho'oponopono.
Perfect.
Oh,
Perfect.
I know that you are so passionate about the practice of ho'oponopono. Can you briefly just remind the audience what that is?
My joy to do so. So Ho'oponopono is an ancient Hawaiian problem-solving process that was updated in the 1970s by Morna Nalamaku Simeona, Kahuna Lapa'au, which is a healing kahuna, and named a treasure to the Hawaiian people, to what is known as self-identity through Ho'oponopono. And so basically, most people understand it or remember it as 4 phrases. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. In the updated version, you just need to say I love you or thank you. The I'm sorry, please forgive me is assumed. And it is a simple but powerful tool for transmuting or clearing or cleaning whatever the underlying cause of the problems are that we experience in our human journey. And that is what Ho'oponopono is in a nutshell. The word itself means to atone for, right? And the reason for that, a lot of people, when they hear that I am to atone for, they go into a lot of guilt, that's bringing up guilt for them. It isn't. The ancient Hawaiians believed that their whole sole purpose of being in a human experience was to atone for everything that happened before they were born and anything that went on. They didn't do it out of guilt. It was just part of the experience of living in that beautiful ancient culture. And so we have to work with that language for ourselves and understand that really the goal is to work on clearing whatever the underlying dynamic or cause of the problem is. And we're just initiating the cleaning. It is divine creator, by whatever name we know our creator to be, that is transmuting, changing the whole form of the energy of whatever the problem is. So
that is beautiful. I love it because it's working with, it's the whole thing of getting down to the root cause, and the root cause is energetic, spiritual, always in all things underlying. You are so passionate. I love how passionate you are about this practice. What brought you into learning about this and practicing it?
Do we have 3 hours? No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. It is a long story, so I'm going to abridge it the best that I can. I've shared this story a lot in free webinars when I talk about just an introduction to this beautiful practice. So the short version is I was born very empathic and intuitive into a family where no one was like me. It was a small family, unlike what Andy was talking about in the initial segment, where he's talking about his huge family. It's just my sister and I and my parents. And my mom, actually, when we talk about, I loved listening to Andy and Minna talking before our time, Christy, because the whole idea of behaviors, the behaviors of our parents and the adults that children are exposed to, and how that influences the behavior of the children. I think that was a real important conversation. And Ho'oponopono helps us to resolve that, because the trauma that children experience, like I did, is usually an ancestral or generational problem. And that was no different in my family. Although I did not know my mother's family, her mother passed when she was only 17, and I never knew her father. But there was abuse that went on in her household. That's what she learned. And so the way she behaved with my father, with my sister and I, she did the best that she could. But nonetheless, for a child, it's very traumatizing. And so I searched, especially over the last almost 30 years since I've been involved in the holistic community. My background's in nursing, and so I'm very allopathically trained, and that was the beginning of my career. But what it was looking for something to heal this PTSD, this post-traumatic stress disorder, which I never even realized I had until I was in my 50s. It occurred to me that when people would come up behind me and would touch me and I didn't know they were coming, I would jump out of my skin. That's a very common symptom of PTSD, that if you're not familiar with that, or you didn't know that there was a specific trauma that you experienced, that you could like hang your hat on that and say, well, that explains that. I just was one of those people that used to get teased because I'd jump out of my skin. So in about 2018, although I had been practicing Ho'oponopono for a really long time, basically when I would have a client on my healing table and I'd work with them, I would be intuitively guided to say those 4 phrases. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And so in 2018, I was guided to actually study the basics of it and understand that the history and what it's all about. And I think that for me, that left brain, as it is for many people, that left brain understanding of what something is helps to be more successful in bringing ourselves into a practice, a daily practice. And that's what it was for me. And I found in a 4-month period of time, being consistent with working with Ho'oponopono, I created a cleaning statement, which we can talk about briefly if you want to. My cleaning statement was to whatever memories are in me that are the cause of my mom's suffering. Because my mom was the source of the trauma, and her behaviors were such that denoted that she was suffering in some level, but she could never really talk about it. Don't know what her childhood was like. That was a generation. My mom recently died two years ago, almost 3 years ago this month, right? She was 95. So her generation didn't burden their children, with issues. And so I just did the Ho'oponopono to clear from me whatever was the source of her suffering. And in 4 months period of time, the transformation in the relationship with my mother and in her behaviors was night and day. What was a 95% challenging, 5 to 10% joy relationship completely reversed in 4 months, almost to the day. And the gift of it was that it helped me to heal these PTSD symptoms from childhood. And it gave me 1.5 years with my mom before she transitioned in 2020 that was loving. I'm not saying that it didn't have issues. It did. But to go from the complete opposite, I am eternal. Ilene, who I consider to be my teachers. And I'm very grateful, although they're both in spirit, I'm grateful for the wisdom that they've shared.
Oh, that is so amazing. I mean, I would venture to even to say everyone has childhood trauma in one form or another, and some,
I agree,
of course, way more extreme than others,
right.
Which is just so unfortunate. But really, understanding that they came from trauma helps a lot with the. I'm having an issue with the word forgiveness these days. And I think for me, a better word is releasing them to be on their path. And because forgiveness to me implies that somebody did something wrong. And yeah, okay, maybe in some cases, but really it's more like they didn't know any better. And
I understand your reticence and the challenge with it. Yeah. I work with a lot of people, and I've taught this to a lot of people, and words are meaningful to us. They have energy, and they trigger us. They either trigger us or they enhance us in some wonderful way. And so finding a way to work with it is part of what I love to do with people. Because as I said, the updated version, you don't have to use the 4 phrases, but I think it's helpful to understand what those 4 phrases mean in the process of Ho'oponopono. But you can simply say, I love you or thank you repeatedly, and it all works.
It all works. I have to tell you just a brief little story that happened. We went to a family wedding in early July, and in the hotel, there was this family staying there. And the little girl, we walked in for the breakfast in the morning, and this little girl turned around and looked at my mom and said, "You're so beautiful." She was probably 4 years old. "You're so beautiful." And then she ran over and just hugged my mom.
Whoa.
And I know. And the parents were all, "Oh, no, no, no." And I said, no, that's a wonderful thing. That's a beautiful, wonderful thing. You maybe, you're right here, so she's safe. And my mom, is safe too. But I just, and we ended up becoming friends. The family.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
But that joy, that sweetness, I thought, oh, this child is being raised in a home with love. And that's a beautiful thing to see.
Agreed. And I think that in the years that I've been in practice, Christy, that the majority of people, and it may be just who I've attracted through the years, because I do a lot of emotional clearing work, and that's what I started with in the beginning. The tools may have changed, the techniques might have changed over almost 30 years, but most of the people have had trauma. And most of it has come from childhood. And it's been challenging to find the ways, and tools to help people to heal from these experiences. But we have Ho'oponopono, and it's so amazing. It really is.
And besides the 4 phrases, I love you, please forgive me, I'm sorry, thank you. Is there a simple clearing, kind of a general clearing statement that our people could start with to just
Sure, and they don't have to. That's my whole point. They can just simply, to me, there are 4 applications to Ho'oponopono. The first is there's always something to clean, whether we know it consciously or not. So incessant or continuous cleaning. And what that might look like is you're standing in the kitchen doing the dishes and you're just thinking, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, or thank you, thank you, thank you. You can dance to it, you can make a song out of it, you can write poetry about it, right? It can be fun, but doing it as often as you think of it without anything specific in mind. The second application is if in the moment something doesn't feel good, whether it's a physical sensation, an emotion, you're angry, you're anxious, you're in fear, you're in worry. It doesn't matter what it is. Anything that doesn't feel good in the moment. Your mind is in monkey mind. You're in a loop of thinking that's driving you crazy, right? You can use it for that and just say, whatever this is, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, or I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Or if somebody cuts you off on the highway, right? That angst feeling that we get when either it just missed us, right? Or we saw something happen in front of us that thank God we weren't that close to it. All of that angst, you can just say whatever that is. I love you, 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 until it shifts. And I love to tell people that while they're doing it, breathe into your heart center. Because then what you're combining is that high vibration of love with the Ho'oponopono clearing. And there's just nothing more joyfully powerful than that, right? And so third application is you have a list of things you want to work on, you make cleaning statements, and I'll give you that format in a second. And the fourth is if you want to support someone else. So as an example, but we're always only cleaning from ourselves. We are initiating the cleaning of the source of the problem from us and us alone, because if we see it, if we sense it, if we feel it, if we hear it, we own it, right? So if you tell me that your left big toe is hurting you, then I'm going to say to whatever memories are in me that are the cause of Christy's toe pain, on any and all levels that I am to atone for, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, or just I love you, or just thank you, right? If it's for trauma, which is what we were talking about a few minutes ago, right? To whatever memories are in me that are the cause of my childhood trauma, let's say, on any and all levels that I am to atone for. Now, that I am to atone for is not because I personally did this trauma to myself, right? It's just the language of Ho'oponopono. And you don't have to use a cleaning statement if that bothers you. You don't need to include the phrase that I am to atone for. If it triggers you, you can just simply say, whatever memories are in me that are the cause of my trauma, on any and all levels, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. You know, or just I love you, or just thank you repeatedly. They all work.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So going back to making clearing statements for yourself, if we use the big toe example, how would I make?
Right, as I said, yeah, sure. It's, let me repeat it. It's to whatever memories are in me that are the cause for Christy's big toe pain or big toe hurting on any and all levels, because we really don't know where the cause is. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you.
And if you're doing it for yourself, you would just
same thing. We are always cleaning from ourselves. So for me, my childhood trauma, to whatever memories are in me that are the cause of my childhood trauma, on any and all levels that I am to atone for, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. So it's basically the cause of the problem based on Ho'oponopono philosophy is memories replaying in our own subconscious mind. Okay? So to whatever memories are in me that are the cause of, fill in the name of the problem. On any and all levels, it covers ancestral, it covers something you picked up down the street, you know, it doesn't matter what it is, on any and all levels, that I am to atone for if that speaks to you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, or just I love you, I love you, I love you, or thank you, thank you, thank you, or say them in any order. Or if there are other words that are more meaningful, use that. Because divine creator God knows our heart.
Yes.
And knows our intention. So don't get caught up in the words.
Yes.
If your intention is, I'm doing a Ho'oponopono, I'm initiating it, then it will be known, because your heart is known.
Yes, that makes sense to me, because we don't have to explain to the divine creator. We're the ones who are doing the learning here. So yeah, I love that. I love that. It's so wonderful. I wonder how many teachers out there, because my background, of course, is as a teacher, would, even if they did it inside their own heads, so that some parent doesn't get mad and say you're teaching religion at school.
No, they don't have to, and it's not a religion. Yeah. So
no,
I actually have two members of my community that are elementary ed teachers. Oh. Actually, one of them is now teaching in middle school, and they both use Ho'oponopono for kids that are acting out, for kids that are having challenges getting the material, for kids that have problems at home, right? Because they're not doing anything to the child. What they're doing is they're initiating the cleaning of whatever the cause of the problem is for that child from themselves.
Yes.
And so it is a personal and quiet experience, and it is effective, and it can be used for everything and anything. Oh. And I love that you mentioned that, because we were talking earlier about, what are some of the places that we use it? And my membership community, the Heart Healers Ho'oponopono community, we have a member that is an ophthalmology tech at Kaiser Permanente Hospital in Atlanta. And she has started utilizing Ho'oponopono with her supervisor in their unit to address the interpersonal relationships there. And one of the things that I feel so joyful about 7 months after they started doing that, they found that the whole unit's internal culture completely changed
Oh, that is
for the better.
Yes, that is
For the-
absolutely fantastic. It's just, it seems like a miracle, but it's really just really who we, Ilene, I understand you have a free gift for our viewers.
I do. For anybody that's interested in understanding the basics to Ho'oponopono, there is a free ebook that I created. It's called Every Day is a Good Day for Ho'oponopono. It's an easy read. It's a downloadable digital ebook, and it will help you to get started. Everything that we've talked about is in the book. Sample cleaning statements, etc., and lots of wonderful stories to explain some of the core principles of Ho'oponopono. And it was a labor of passion for sure. And I hope that you enjoy it if you choose to receive it as a gift from my heart to yours.
That is a lovely gift. And your website is thehearthealer.com?
It's Ilene, ILENE, thehearthealer.com. Yes.
Perfect. If people want to reach out. Thank you. Thank you so much. I love you, and thank you for coming back on our show. And coming up next is our biohacking tip of the week. So stay tuned.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Minna from Chronically Healthy Life. So in biohacking this week, let's talk about eggs. Now, most people like eggs. I know some people don't, but eggs is probably one of the things that we're most familiar with. And we grow up eating a lot of eggs, especially for breakfast. And, it can be fried, or there's a gazillion ways you can make your eggs. But as a snack, you can actually also hard boil these eggs and just leave them in the fridge. And when you get hungry, this is a great way to fill you up a little bit instead of grabbing for like chips or cookies or whatever it is. So eggs is a much better choice in terms of a snack. If you need a snack when you got hungry, it fills you up and it's actually a lot more nutritious. So in terms of nutrient-wise, eggs have a lot of nutrients. It's really nutrient dense. And make sure you eat both the egg yolk and the egg white, because it's actually filled with vitamin D. It's actually filled with a lot of choline that a lot of pregnant women really needed. It has great source of protein for sure. It's a substitute for proteins. And it's also great for omega-3s and antioxidants for the eyes. So if you have eyes problems or you have fatigue, this will actually help a little bit. So with hard-boiled eggs, you can leave them in the fridge. And there's actually a few ways to do it. And I saw an article online that says, even though it's called hard-boiled eggs, there's different ways to do it. One of the ways is to use a muffin pan and just leave the egg in a muffin pan and bake it. That's one way to do it. That will take the longest. You can also steam the whole egg without cracking them. Not the steam egg way, but just leave the egg whole and steam it, and you can do that too. Or you can instant pot it if you want to just leave it and forget it. Of course, you can just boil it, simmer it. To make it easier to peel, make sure you put the eggs, once it's done, you put it in an ice bath for about 5-10 minutes or so, and then it's much easier to peel. So with eggs, it's something that is economical and accessible. It's easy to find. Supermarkets have it. We use organic eggs. We like the blue ones, because the inside is actually more orangey, so it's more like a heritage egg. So yeah, that's it. With eggs, it's a good snack for kids. It's a good snack for adults, and I like eggs. And you can actually have a little bit dipping sauce with cocoa aminos or hot sauce or whatever it is you like, and you can change it. It changes the flavor and it gives a little bit more variety. So yeah, today's week all about eggs, and we'll see you next week.
The egg, raw potential, ready to be cracked open, ready to be transformed, ready to transform you. 13 different vitamins and nutrients, including 12.7 grams of protein. Eggs can power thousands of different ambitions, from running marathons to running for your mental health. Eggs can unlock thousands of flavours, from a biryani to a Benedict. You can poach yourself further, feel fuller for longer, and help your recovery. Support your vitamin D and your immunity, and nurture the next generation before they even get here. An egg can be exactly what you need it to be. So be humble, like the egg, but be proud of your achievements. The only limit is your imagination and your determination. Unlock your full potential. Live your life. Powered by eggs.
Hi everyone, this is Christy Boyd Johnson of the Barefoot Learning Club. It is a sad fact that today politics have completely taken over the schools. Real learning has been sacrificed for political agendas. As a result, kids are not learning to read. We have second and third graders barely reading, except for those lucky kids who will read no matter what the schools do to them. Unfortunately, that is not the majority. When I was teaching, I watched how really good reading systems were systematically eliminated from the schools. I saw kids shutting down and believing that they were too dumb to learn. Worse still, by making reading unattainable, they are essentially stealing our kids' futures. So the rebel that is me went on a quest to find reading programs that really work, that work with our neurological systems to enhance and speed up the learning process. And the number one thing that needs to happen is that we have to teach our kids to read. That is why Alicia and I started the Barefoot Learning Club. We are giving everyone the opportunity to learn to read in a way that is simple, fast, and fun. Best of all, your kids will start having success and never again believe that they are too dumb to learn. Go to barefootlearningclub.com now and sign up. Join me in being a rebel and let's get our kids reading. If they can read, they can literally do anything.
Welcome back to Chronically Healthy Life. So speaking of eggs, you've watched the movies where the speaker on stage and people are throwing tomatoes and eggs at them. Have you ever experienced that?
Yes, that brings back horrible memories. And this actually has a really interesting story. It wraps a little bit how men actually have or fated to be together, right? This was actually in grade 11. Yeah, it's grade 11, and we're called April Fool, the foolish couple, because the both of us are born on April Fool's Day. And every year for April Fool's Day, I always get punked by my friends, right? So in grade 11, I was thinking, man, I'm going to be really smart about this. I got my driver's license. I borrowed the car from my brother. And I figured as soon as school's out, I got my bag for my last class. I'm going to sprint out class, hop in my car, and drive home. Had it all planned out because every year something really bad happens to me. And of course, everything's going as planned. I have my bag ready on the side of my desk, ready to get out of school. And it was social studies class, which, the teacher normally really loves me in that class. And then, 5 minutes before the end of class, she says, Chun, which is my Chinese name. I was going by my Chinese name during the time. Can you stay after class for a few minutes? And I was thinking, what did I do wrong? Like, why am I getting detention? And I couldn't figure it out. So I'm sitting here for 5 minutes, right? And then finally, like, everyone's out of class. I'm sitting for 5 minutes after class is let out. And she doesn't ask me anything. And I asked her, I was like, what did I do wrong? Like, what? You told me to stay after class. Is there something I should know? And then she said, well, no, your friends just told me to keep you after class because they got a surprise plan for you. And I was like, yeah, beep, I was like, what? So I'm looking out the window and I see all my friends are just hanging around, my car. And I was like, what's that all about? So I'm going downstairs in my bag and I'm thinking about running to the car to get in the car and boot it. They start chasing me with eggs. I swear, like all my friends were just like pelting me with eggs and chasing me around the whole field. And I was like completely covered with eggs. And man, did I get in trouble because I still have to drive the car home, and on the seat was covered with eggs. I didn't even, that was a big thing to explain to my brother, much later. But one of the funny things, and I didn't find this until a year later, is Minna actually got some of those eggs too, because some of her friends, because we didn't really know each other during that time, borrowed some of those eggs from my group of friends, and they were chasing her too. Just one. Well, you got one where I got like a few dozen. So it was it's fated. We're going to be together the year after, but it's funny. During the time I really hated eggs for a while.
So imagine you getting chased by eggs, but you're actually on stage speaking.
Yes, it is exactly the same thing. Public speaking is
It's a fear.
Horrifying. It's horrifying.
And you keep doing it.
But now it's getting fun. I've been doing a little bit more public speaking now. We did that, like 10 years ago when I started our journey for health, because I wanted to share more about the products. But now I'm going on stage more about sharing the lifestyle, the importance of taking charge of your health, the importance of doing certain things, certain exercises, certain protocols to repair your body, and to reverse your age. And I think that's really important. I think that's exciting. And this year so far, I've gone on public stage 3 times, right? 3 times.
And no eggs?
No eggs. Yeah. I can dodge them now. I think I can probably catch it in midair now, right? And it's exciting, because the more you do it, the more it becomes easier, right? But yeah, just talking about those eggs, that just gave me a little bit of nightmares right here.
So you don't actually imagine the people watching you as like naked or something?
No, that never worked for me, because it's like, wow, I don't want to see that person naked. It's like, oh, right. Now that'll just throw me right off. I really do concentrate on the friends that are usually in the crowd, and I usually have certain friends in there that like me. At least I hope they do. That are supporting my vision, my mission, and knowing them that they're supporting me, sending up their love. It just makes things so much easier for us to share our message too.
Yeah. So getting over the fear of public speaking, I think the fear of public speaking itself is one of the biggest fear of everybody. Everybody is afraid of it, but it's one of those things that needs practice. And really, it has nothing to do whether you are extrovert or introvert. You are extrovert,
yes,
which means you get energy from people, so that
Correct.
helps. But you introvert, you want to get your message out. You still have to speak. You have to force yourself to speak, and it's not because if you have a message to that you want to tell the audience, you have to get over the fear and you have to get on stage and start speaking. So whether you're introvert, extrovert, it doesn't matter. Once you get on stage, you'll get over it.
That's so true. Even though I'm an extrovert at heart, I am a shitty dancer. And every time they get you on stage, they say you need to break out your dance moves. And now forever it's on video. I haven't shared the dance moves on video because
I have not seen it.
Yeah. You're gonna have to come see one of my public speaking engagements.
Okay, I'll see you in Dubai.
So coming right up, we got some exciting things to share.
Hello, we are Mutts and Meows Rescue, a 501c3 nonprofit, foster-based, no-kill group. Mutts and Meows Rescue pulls dogs and cats from surrounding shelters in the greater Houston area. We even pick up dogs and cats abandoned on the streets. Mutts and Meows Rescue is foster-based and rely on your donations to keep rescuing. To know more about us is to know more about our furry friends and help them find their forever homes. Come visit us at Mutts and Meows Rescue on Facebook today and decide how you can make a difference.
Hi, this is Clara Capano, your host for Women Winning Their Way, where we talk about how you can create success all on your terms. Join us Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Limelight Network here on E360 TV.
Welcome back to Chronically Healthy Life. So we talk about developing healthy habits for kids today, right? And that's something that just came to mind. You know how we interviewed Rachel Cruz
Yes.
before, that was a few years ago, and she's the daughter of Dave Ramsey, which we all now know as the financial guru. But when she was a kid, she was like a few years old. That's when her parents actually filed for bankruptcy. So even though it's not like a trauma, that is a financial trauma, and then that hits the whole family. And how her parents handle the trauma, the financial trauma, helps her develop her character as an adult. And now she's part of the Ramsey group. She now goes around and talk about her experience and talk about financial freedom for people.
Yeah, and she learned early on the importance of money,
Sure.
and she of course shares her perspective very differently from Dave Ramsey, right? And for a lot of people, it may be something that's easy to relate to. I think it comes down to bite-sized nuggets that and she's very great at sharing
For sure.
tips on that, right?
So who do we have next week?
Next week we have Quisha Vic. I just call her Di. We had her, we featured her in our community business. I think a couple weeks ago. Really amazing
Very
woman.
energetic.
Very athletic. Very passionate at what she do. She's going to be our guest. And then next week, I'm going to be away at a health convention. So we'll see how next week's show goes. Maybe we'll pre-record a little bit if the internet connection is good. Maybe I'll pop in live. We'll see how that goes.
Good. So join us here back next Friday at 7 CST. You can watch past episodes at watch.e360tv.com. It is in the Vitality TV network. And of course, we always love to hear from you. Any feedback, we love. You can give us your comments on our Facebook page, Chronically Healthy Life. And you can also rewatch this episode and other episodes on our website, chronicallyhealthylife.com, on our YouTube channel, or if you have anything to tell us, just email us at anything@chronicallyhealthylife.com. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.